Zeneca, mate, glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Dude, all good. You've recently put together like a 9,000 word kind of mega piece on Airdrop. I didn't have time to read it before the show, but this is the benefit of having you on. I would love to go through what you found, some of the airdrop opportunities that are out there. I think this could be like a nice kind of stimulus check for people looking to recover funds that they may have round-tripped or lost in the last couple of months. So, yeah.
Airdrops are, they're great bear market activities because, A, it's like you generally don't risk much capital and you can get some nice stimmies out of it. And B, a lot of people like to leave the space. They stop paying attention. And so during a bull market, there's a million people farming every single airdrop, and it's kind of like competitive and usually aren't too many good opportunities. The best airdrops have always been the ones that came out of bear markets. So like Uniswap in 2020, Jito in 2022, was it, or 2023, etc. So I think that, that was kind of the impetus for writing the massive guide. And I think there's a bunch of cool ones out there that some people are paying attention to, but a lot of people aren't. Not all are like guaranteed airdrops. I think that's the thing with airdrops. Sometimes it's like you have to guess a little bit whether or not the protocol's going to launch a token. But some of them like basically have guaranteed announced that they will, and people just aren't paying that much attention. So I think there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, okay. Which ones do you have your eye on in particular? I just realized that I thought I was doing the Wayfinder well, but I never connected my social profile to it. So I was like, great, missed that one.
You might still get something. Like, I don't know. There was the missions where you fund the wallet, and then there was the social missions. So I don't know how they're going to break down the allocation for that. I think that'll be a good one, but it was also one that like everyone was shilling on Twitter for like a month, so it's probably pretty saturated. I still think it'll be like relatively free money, but it's probably going to be like maybe hundreds per person, which is still good, but not like the thousands or tens of thousands like some other airdrops have been. I think Fantasy Top is a pretty interesting one. It is this like social like fantasy football type game, except you bet on influencers, and it launched on Blast over a year ago now. And they've just been killing it, continuing running, and they've recently partnered with Monad, and I think Monad is going to be another airdrop that's going to be really good coming up. It's an alt L1. I don't know if like playing the fantasy on Monad will get you eligible for the Monad airdrop, but either way, I think Fantasy Top will do a pretty cool airdrop. So that's one big one. I think Polymarket is an interesting one. They haven't said that they're doing a token, but they've raised a ton of money. And it's just a cool platform. It's got tons of users, and it just seems to be blowing up. And so, like, I just recommend people dabble on there a little bit. Nansen is probably one of the other big ones that not that many people know about. They've got a point system if you stake any crypto on their platform, and it's not visible on the platform yet. So they've said the points are coming and be retroactive based on the staking you're currently doing. And so I think because it's not really super publicly announced yet, people aren't quote unquote farming it. So I think there's a good opportunity there. Nansen is like one of the most successful analytics, like on-chain analytics platforms in crypto, and has been for many years now. So yeah, that's a few. OpenSea is another one. Everyone in NFTs has been calling for an OpenSea airdrop literally since 2021. And it kind of feels like they've been stringing us along. But then after sort of Trump won the election and the SEC changes happened, it kind of felt like they were like basically confirming that an airdrop is coming. Now that they've got the OpenSea 2 with like a point system, et cetera, it's again one of those things that I think not that many people are actually paying attention to, but could surprise people.
Yeah, dude. The OpenSea airdrop, that's the original, like, drop the fucking token.
I know.
Dude, you mentioned Jito before, and that just like put a bolt through my heart. I remember literally had so many friends that told me about it, and it was just at that point as Sol was starting to like really rip. And I had a mate that farmed it on 3 wallets with like, I think I staked one Jito Sol, and it was like 5k each wallet, and I was just like,
that's again bear market things. Like if it was a bull market, you would have had 500,000 wallets trying to sybil that thing, and they would have had to filter it out. But because it was a bear market, they probably looked at their analytics and it's like there were only like 7,000 people that staked anything, so we're just going to give them all an airdrop, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is, man. CT is so quiet now as well. You can feel the bear market has kicked in, like just general engagement. I mean, I'm a tiny account, but it is just that general, like, putting some stuff out and being like, wow, there's like 4 people left here that's still...
It's definitely quietening down. Yeah. And everyone's become an expert on tariffs and geopolitics, which is fun.
Oh, dude.
That's like 90% of my feed these days.
Yeah, I think I put out a tweet and then quickly deleted it because I do have DGod friends, but I was like, DGod PFP has an opinion on tariffs, and I was like, fuck it, I should probably... That's a bit rude. I'm like,
it is funny though.
I'm gonna leave it. Speaking of opinions on tariffs, I know that we're trashing motherfuckers for having opinions on tariffs, but I'm keen to get your read on like what you think, like pure chaos. What's your take?
Chaos is the word, yeah. Like, I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen. I think anyone that claims to have an idea of what's going to happen is 99% of them have no idea what they're talking about. There might be the rare person out there that actually knows, but trying to decipher what's going on in Donald Trump's mind is, I don't think the people closest to him necessarily know, let alone any of us. So I think just preparing for chaos and expecting the unexpected and sort of like positioning yourself in a way that markets could tank 50% tomorrow, they could go up 50% in the next week. It's like any sort of eventuality is very much on the cards, on the table. We could enter like a multi-year bear market now. We could have new all-time highs by the end of the year. It's just making sure that you're comfortable with these separate outcomes and positioning yourself for that.
Yeah, I think it is like kind of like a play it day by day market. Just like log in, wake up. Like Trump paused tariffs at like 4 o'clock our time this morning. Like I went to bed looking at shorts, being like, oh yeah, Christ, everything's going to nothing. And then you wake up and it's like, oh, okay, Nasdaq up 12%. Never mind.
One of the biggest days ever.
Gonna leave it. Funnily enough, one of all of the finance and crypto Twitter accounts that I follow, the best take that I saw on tariffs, like before tariffs, was from a guy called Alex Datepsych, and he's like an evolutionary psychologist, like dating psych guy. And he had this like long thread about like Trump's psychology and why he thinks that tariffs are going to be paused. And then it came true, and I was like, hey, look at that. The Evo psych guy with very little, like, never posted about markets, just nailed it. So shout out to Alex. But yeah,
it makes sense that a psychologist would be able to like decipher what's going on in his mind, because that's basically it takes a psychologist to have some sort of idea.
True, you need to be in that profession. I feel like all the markets guys get so bogged down in like, oh no, but the 10-year yields are spiking. Oh god. It's just very easy to get lost in the just infinite noise of bullshit that's going on in macro.
I was listening to do you know Morgan Housel? He wrote the Psychology of Money book. He has a podcast, and he put out an episode yesterday or the day before on tariffs. That was really, really, really interesting. Basically, he thinks tariffs are awful as well. But he said he was comparing it to like all the previous sort of market crashes, COVID, global financial crisis, .com bubble, etc. And in all those instances, like so much had to change for the markets to turn around. With the tariffs, one guy can just send one tweet and all of a sudden it's changed. And so he's like, that is the difference between now and then. Whereas when COVID happened, no one knew when things would get better, if they would get better, if this would be a massive thing for 5-10 years, et cetera, et cetera. With tariffs, it's like, yeah, it could be bad, but it could literally end tomorrow. Whereas no one expected COVID could just literally end the next day, which is, I think, a big difference between previous crashes.
True. You're dealing with such like a centralized point of control. It's not this like big external thing that we're all reacting to and kind of like waiting to play out. It's very much like one dude sitting there being like,
crazy.
Actually, yeah, I don't want to do that today. So we're going to be green. So congrats. Yeah, very, very fucking weird times. And yeah, the amount of Trump derangement syndrome on both sides, from like left and right, is phenomenal, because it's just like it works out well. It's like he's a genius. It goes poorly. It's like, oh, what an idiot. It's like, the art of
this
the
is the
deal.
next 4 years of our lives.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. The Bill Ackman crash out has been just something to witness, man. You're like, wow.
I saw a tweet. Someone like posted like one of those charts where they posted his tweets, and like there were 4 bottom signals when he was just like, which is
Yeah, Geordie Alexander has been posting really good like deep dive schizo shit that I just love reading. I'm like, yes, I don't understand half of this, but I like where he's going with it. Concoda, or Conks, well, he was formerly Concoda, but he's a guy called Conks Research. He does like macro T-bill liquidity charts, but not just like charts, but like mega diagrams of how Fed rebalancing and all this shit works. He's probably one of like my favorite people to read, because he does these insanely detailed posts of how all of this shit works in the back end, but then just shit posts like 80% of the time. So I strongly recommend everyone go hit up Conks. Yeah, I don't know, man. How are you like looking at just navigating the next like 6 to 9 months in markets at the moment? What's your just like kind of vibe strat overall?
Yeah. It's mostly like sitting on my hands and waiting for a potential really good opportunity. And on the side, doing airdrop farming. So I think that like one of my biggest issues over the last years, and I think most people's, is over trading. You just like, you're in the space, you're on Twitter, you're in Discords, Telegrams, someone posts a contract address or talks about this new Ponzi or whatever, and you're like, maybe I'll buy a bit of that, maybe I'll trade a bit of that. And then by the end of the month, you've traded in and out of like 50 positions or 20 positions or even 10. And usually that's just chopping yourself up. And so I think that trying to just wait for like a really good opportunity to come, if and when it does come, has for me been better. And so I'm trying to do more and more of that. And then focus on other things. Like, I know on my writing, I still want to be very connected to the space. So I'm doing that. A bit of airdrop farming, paying attention to some of the biggest airdrops out there. And, you know, I don't spend a lot of time airdrop farming, but it's more just like being curious and using different protocols here and there and hoping, because usually the best airdrops are kind of unexpected and they just pop up out of nowhere. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, okay, nice. No, I really like this return to airdrop farming kind of thing that you're pushing at the moment, because it is just one of those things. It's such low risk for potentially high reward. Like that asymmetry of just going around, finding a thing, depositing a couple $100, pressing some buttons and being like, cool, whatever. This was fun. You find some new shit that you're actually like, oh, this is really good. Or you never use it again. And then potentially down the line, in like 6-12 months, you just get free money, basically. Like there's no greater industry on earth to just
it's so crazy
dick around.
When you actually think about it. And like some of the best opportunities outside of airdrop farming will be just from like, to me, the best way to airdrop farm is not to look at a list of protocols and be like, all right, I'm going to do this 10 tasks every single day for each of them. It's just to follow your genuine curiosity and just like try new chains, try new apps, try new things, and just find cool things, which maybe down the line will eventually lead to an airdrop. But also you could find like, you know, something that you think is really undervalued. So like the good opportunities that I was talking about waiting for often will come up just by tinkering around, trying new chains, talking to like new people, new ecosystems. A lot of the time that those are the ones that are like undiscovered, and so that have the biggest sort of asymmetrical upside, versus the stuff that like literally everyone is talking about on Twitter is probably too late to sort of make too much money on it.
Yeah, true. It is that feeling of like, oh fuck, everyone's on this. Never mind. It's gonna be $3 each. Yeah.
In bull markets, I think you can make a ton of money when everyone is on like some new hype token, meme coin, whatever. It's all on Twitter, and it's already like 10, 20, 50 million market cap, but it can run to $1 billion because it's a bull market. In bear markets, I think those opportunities just aren't as good. So you got to dig deeper, basically.
Yeah, and I think those daily run, like, because there have been some like, you know, a couple of coins, at least in like soul trenches, that have done reasonable numbers, but it's kind of like a 20 mil cap on them at the moment. And I think that's giving people like a little bit of hope. They're like, oh great, there's something happening. But then each of them just cap out and they just get rinsed. You're like, oh, okay, we're not there yet. It might be like this for another 6 months at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still money to be made. Like you can make money if you're like in the trenches early enough. You buy things at sub $1 million market cap and you get 10x, 20x, as long as you're good at taking profits and cutting losers and doing all that kind of stuff. It's the people that hold on thinking, oh, it's going to be it's finally going to break 100 million. It's going to be the next $1 billion. That's the people that get wrecked.
It really is the conditions where you want to be. This is the time to be siphoning out. And that's something that I didn't learn in like early 2024. Like I was still taking like 10x's, 20x's on shit that like, you know, I had multiple decent meme coins like Bowden and a bunch of others like on day 1, day 2, and I was flipping them for like 20x's, being like, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
And then realizing that I left, you know, a house on the table, and you're like, sick. All right, that was good. And so I think you can get to that mind, that prolonged. I don't think anyone is anymore, but you can get into that mindset of like, dude, it's going to be the next massive one. And now it's literally just like guys in group chats sharing like 8 to 10k out of 30k, quick 3x, and you're like, oh, that's fucking horrendous. Grim. One thing, because I know that you're like, I know that you're kind of like a base guy in terms of like, I remember that was, you can push back on that if you think that's an unfair categorization.
I'm definitely a fan of base.
Yep.
A couple of times I expected like a base season to come, and
Yep.
largely did. The second time less than the first, but no, I'm pretty bullish on base overall.
Yeah. I don't know, like what ETH, because I'm using base as kind of like a proxy for performance on ETH in terms of like degen shit. Because I feel like if it's going to pop up anywhere on ETH, it's going to be on base. Remember there was some chatter of Arbitrum trenches for a little bit, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
let's go. But with ETH, that's been the one thing that I think has just really beaten CT down pretty hard. The ETH underperformance. Do you think that, like, are you in the camp that thinks that this is, you know, the next $1 trillion asset? It's just a matter of time. What's your take on ETH underperformance?
I do think it will. I'm a massive ETH bull. Like, majority of my portfolio is in ETH or ETH tokens, NFTs on ETH. It's just, I've always been a massive ETH bull. I've been a massive fan of just the stuff that you can do on ETH, the decentralization, the security, all the apps, the TVL that's been locked, the stablecoin activity. There's just so many reasons to be bullish on Ethereum, the network. I think the problem has been the value accrual to ETH, the token, and like the network is doing great. It's scaling. It's doing all sorts of cool stuff. There's new apps dropping, but the token is not seeing that value. It's inflationary because the gas fees aren't enough. I think part of it is that the sort of like the casino this cycle was meme coins, which thrived on Solana, versus last time it was NFTs on ETH, and so like that just inherently brought a lot of activity, users, gas fees, all sorts of things to the network, which doesn't exist now, or not in the same way. So I think that's one of the kind of issues. But I'm still crazy bullish ETH. I think that Base is going to continue to scale. Coinbase is absolute giant titan in the industry, and they're pushing very hard to get more users on chain, specifically on Base. Mega ETH is coming out soon, or soon-ish. They've got their testnet live, and it's insane. It's like, I don't know, 300,000 transactions per second. It's like literally like instantaneous everything on chain, which is, to me, just mind-blowing. If I could see that being where like a degen casino or like meme coin culture opens up, if anywhere. It kind of has struggled on Base or Arbitrum or any of the other L2s, but maybe Mega ETH is one. I think that eventually we'll get to the point where like all the L2 fragmentation and whatnot is abstracted away into the background. So you're just using an app and you don't really recognize what chain it's on. It's just, you're just doing whatever, trading, swapping, buying, selling, and it just DeFi, lending, etc. It's just on an app, and it's all the technologies in the background. I think that will really help ETH, because currently the fragmentation is a big issue with bridging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly a little concerned as well, because there is the issue of like, all of this is very bullish Ethereum. The Ethereum ecosystem, network, layers, we need to figure out a way for that value to accrue back to the underlying token. I don't see an immediate path there now, or like an immediate series of steps that are being taken that will lead to that, but I would say cautiously optimistic that it will be figured out. There's plenty of smart people working on it, recognizing now that it is an issue. I think for a while people didn't care about it, and then we're like, yeah, we're just going to do it for the tech and not care about price. But I think now people are like, we should pay some attention to price. It kind of matters. So it's been painful, the underperformance, but I'm still very bullish ETH, and now is just like basic investing psychology or mentality. Like, it's a better time to buy now when everyone is flooding it, when price is way down, versus when it was at 4K and people were bullish.
Yeah. No, the L2 fragmentation is one of those things that I think that initially people were like, it's not going to be a big problem. And then over time it was like, ooh, yeah, shit, this is difficult to like actually accrue value back to base, like not base ETH, but like the you start fucking with the ETH mainnet. And if you could come up with some kind of way where it didn't really matter what you were using and you could just use ETH as the network, then I think that solves a lot of the UX issue. Because there was times, because I made basically all my money this cycle on Sol, and just meme coining over there. But then during like AI meta, I was like, oh shit, I need to bridge back over to ETH to start capitalizing on some of this. And then once I started bridging back and playing around with ETH again, which I really hadn't done much of, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I have to actually manually bridge back to like each L2 based on which one that I want to use it on, and not having enough gas on ARB, and then being like, oh, fuck, okay, like...
Yeah, we're getting, I think, really close to solving this issue, though. There's wallets and protocols that have like basically abstracted that all away already, and they're getting more popularity. And yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to that point where it's like you want to buy any asset, it doesn't matter what chain it's on, you just send the transaction, and it all kind of happens and bridges in the background. So we're getting there.
Yeah,
and that's including like Sol and L2s and like non-ETH chains as well. It's all being abstracted away together, I think.
True. With Sol, what's your read on how things play out for it heading into the remainder of the year? Because we've had the Sol meme coin season. I think like it's pretty safe to say that like lots of the value accrual for Sol came from memes. Like there are much better apps. There's actually DeFi happening over there. I know that this would like piss some ETH people off, but it's like, you know, there's actual applications that are being built over there that are very usable. There's a fuckload of stablecoin TVL on it too. But without that like really intense hyper speculative drive of memes, it does feel like it's lost a bit of momentum, and it's kind of back in the, you know, ETH's very much back in the running moving forward, especially if we see this shift towards like a return to fundamentals style of investing, which I think a lot of people are anticipating / already seeing with stablecoin protocols. But yeah, I'd love to get your take on where you think Sol kind of moves towards the end of the year, how you view it.
Yeah, I agree that there's some really cool DeFi protocols on Solana. Like Meteora is fantastic. Like I haven't found anything on any ETH chain that can do quite the same yet. Speaking of airdrops, I think that they have mentioned that there will be a Meteora airdrop. So I think that's a great one to farm as well. But yes, I think that people don't maybe, like people with the billions of dollars or like crazy amounts don't seem to be trusting it as much as ETH for one reason or another. I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe the meme coin casino culture hurt it a little bit because it really dominated for the last 18 months. It was like Solana is the chain for meme coins, and like that's great for activity and for, you know, degen users, but for institutional investors and funds it maybe is a little bit off-putting. And so maybe there's a bit of a rebranding issue required to get people to understand that the chain is great as well. And I mean, I'm a Sol fan as well. I've done a lot of trading. I own a lot of Sol. I think we live in a multi-chain future, and Solana will be one of them. But it maybe has a perception issue to solve as well. And stablecoins is, I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest stories in crypto at the moment. It's like the stablecoin volumes are going crazy. But I think like it's still like 55% on ETH, like of all stablecoins. It's crazy. And then it's like 20 or 30% on Tron. And so there's billions and billions on Solana, but it still pales in comparison to like the hundreds of, or like the 50 to 150 billion on ETH and Tron.
Yeah. I remember seeing someone like put it out of like, you know, Sol's like the shopping mall, and ETH is like the bank, in the sense of like even just for stables, like, you know, you go actually play around and do dumb shit on Sol, but then if you want to put your stable somewhere that you know that isn't gonna come under some kind of it's less centralized, more decentralized, and just one of those places where if you had a disgusting amount of money, like I don't think if you had, you know, 100 million plus, you're going to be parking it entirely on Sol as a network.
Yeah.
Just from that, like, yeah.
Part of that is also that, like, ETH has just been around longer. So it's like some of these ETH protocols, like Aave, they've just been battle tested for longer than the Solana protocols. And I think that that's just, again, there's that trust and that longevity and that history and provenance and, you know, all that kind of stuff that really matters when you're talking about money that high. Yeah.
Speaking of lots of money, you're someone that's, you know, made a lot of money, and also round-tripped a lot.
I've definitely round-tripped more than I've made.
A lot of money.
Like
I would love to, because I saw that you put out a tweet and like a piece on this as well, but I'd love to get your kind of like roundup on this here. What were the main lessons that you kind of learned from round-tripping a shitload to help people like me and other listeners avoid doing shit like that in the future? Because I recently round-tripped a pretty considerable,
I mean, I still round-trip
money
regularly. It's like...
Twice. Yeah.
I think one thing is just the understanding that it's kind of inevitable in crypto to round trip. Basically, because you'll never time the top. That's one of the things. Is like people always beat themselves up when they don't sell the top, or they don't even sell close to the top. And I think the reality is that like if you like, especially if we're talking about like meme coins or AI agents or alts, if you can sell your bag at like 50% of the all-time high, that's still pretty damn good. Most people try to like get within 5 or 10% or 20% of all-time high, and it's like that's the risk because then it starts dropping a little bit, and now you're down 25%. You're like, I'll just wait till it goes back up to where it was, then I'll sell, and then it drops, and then it drops. You're like, all right, now just 5% more, and that's what wrecks people. And I think that, yeah. So I think there's like understanding and setting that expectation that you'll never actually realize whatever you once see your portfolio all-time high value at being, you'll never get anywhere close to that. And like accepting that makes it easier to sell when you've held a bag and then it goes down 30 or 40%. You're like, you know what? This is still good enough for me. I'm going to take some profit now. So that's one. Two is just like taking profit on the way up as well. So like if you buy something and it's up 3x, 5x, 10x, sell 10% of your position. Like you don't have to sell everything, but just like take a little bit of profits every time it hits a new all-time high. Even if you're super bullish on it, just keep chipping away and taking some profits. And importantly, take those profits and like send it to a cold wallet, a hardware wallet, withdraw it to your bank. Because if it's just sitting in your regular Phantom or Rabby or whatever, then you're just so much more likely to just deploy it into the next meme coin opportunity that comes along. And that's how I and many others probably lost money back to the markets. So,
Yep. Yeah, sweet. No, because that is the thing of like you do, because I pre this like current run up, I was very much like a DCA guy. And I just bought Bitcoin and ETH each month, didn't really give a shit what happened to it. I was like,
best strategy, cool. Honestly, for most people.
Yeah, that's the thing. But then when I started, like I met a couple of people off the internet, like IRL, and they were just like pure degenerates. And I was like, this is fantastic. We'll gamble up some funds together. Just that psychology of initially being too risk off, and then in the later innings of it being way too risk on. And it's that thing of like when it's reverse, really. It should be the inverse. You're like, oh, this is good. I've never done this before. Fantastic. I'm making money. Yeah. Sell some. And then watching it 100x from there and being like, and then in November being the guy that's like, oh, Trump's coming in, dude. We're so good. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm holding this shit forever. I'll weather another 80% drawdown, and then you actually are at the other end of an 80% drawdown, and you go, oh no, that was the last one. Yeah,
it's rough. Like especially this cycle. I think like I know almost no one who's even got it close to correct this cycle. Like people who were most people were crazy bullish on Trump, and were right for a while. Things went just ballistic from like November to January 20th basically, and then it's just since he got into office it's like largely been down only, but there's been pockets where it went up again, and it's just I don't think anyone really has predicted any of this too well this cycle.
This cycle is very much like hard mode. I think easy mode, if you were just like totally risk on degen, fuck it, I'll buy the funny coins, that's fine. But even that, like it's just actually timing the stuff. I mean, I think this is just like time is a flat circle shit. Like in another 12 months, there'll be another bull market and everyone will be like, this will happen. It doesn't happen. And then everyone goes, fuck, this was so hard to predict. It was nothing like the last one. And it's like, that's the point. That's how time works, man. Like it's going to be different each time.
It's not that easy that you just get the same situation over and over again and can just repeat it. That's why I think like everyone is always so like talking about these 4-year cycles, and it's like we're just not going to be able to have this 4-year cycle forever. Where it's like every 4 years Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, and then there's a 2-year bear market, and then it goes up again. And like that just can't continue forever because everyone would just be trillionaires if that was the reality.
You would just have a fucking crystal ball where you could be like, oh, this is exactly what's
and people
going to
are always
happen.
basing it on like the sample size, which is like 2, maybe 3. We've had 2 cycles or 3 cycles before, which is like cool, but it's not exactly a great sample size.
Yeah, it is funny because it's like, they always say like past results are not like a guarantee of future results, but they're the best. It's the only stuff you have for which to base future results. But at the same time, it's going to be so different each time. Speaking of shit that kind of caught everyone or just didn't really pan out the way that people expected, NFTs. That's something I want to touch on with you because I know that you've killed on NFTs before, and this cycle I think we saw like Pudgies do really, really well, and then what's your read on non-fungible tokens and our beloved JPEGs? moving forward.
I mean, as a technology, I've never been more bullish. Like people often conflate NFTs with like monkey pictures, and like yes, that was the biggest part of like 2021, but it's really just a tech standard, and you can build anything on top of it. And so what we've seen so far is mostly value has accrued to PFPs and art as like two main areas. I think we're going to have way more use cases in the future, but for right now, it's like the PFPs and art, and I think that a small subset of them will continue to accrue a lot of value over time. But again, like the vast majority are just gone straight to zero. But I think there's some great buys out there, especially in the art space, and then like CryptoPunks or maybe Pudgies or maybe a handful of other PFP type collections that will outperform, but most of them are going to struggle. There's just not enough people in the world buying for the amount of 10,000 PFP collections there are out there. Maybe there will one day be, but I don't expect there to be that many people willing to pay like thousands or let alone tens of thousands of dollars for PFP NFTs. So I think it'll be a small percentage of collections, but they will, I think, like still go up tremendously from here.
Yeah, okay. Why do you think that the blue chip, and when I say blue chip, I mean almost exclusively like CryptoPunks, maybe Pudgies come into that. Like a lot of the Pudgy stuff was to do with the token, like the Pengu token. Kind of like the rip that they saw was directly correlated with the fact that it's like, hey, there's going to be an airdrop. I think Doodles had a similar layup. What do you think it is about like CryptoPunks that kind of makes them maintain value and become more valuable in the future? Like what's the read on that?
CryptoPunks, I think especially, I mean, they were like the first large collection like that, so they have that provenance. They do nothing, so there's no expectations. There's no like external dependencies. There's no like a team to flop on a deliverable. There's no token that they're going to launch that's going to do well or do poorly. There's no expectations of an airdrop. There's no expectations of a game or a metaverse or IP or literally anything. It's just like, it's this grassroots cypherpunk originated cultural community that is from the early days of Ethereum, and the people that now are buying one are pretty much very passionate about owning a piece of history like that. And so I think that CryptoPunks are very special and separate in that category. And they're like half PFP, but half art. Like I think they're in museums, or they will be in museums around the world as such, because it's such a historically culturally relevant part of the entire NFT movement that I think that basically separates them from every other NFT collection, certainly every other PFP collection. There might be some art collections that are in a similar sort of category, but yeah, no other PFP collection to my mind has anything even close to that sort of like backing or provenance.
This was something that I kind of mentioned on Twitter. I think it got retweeted by Elon, so it went kind of viral, but it was basically, I was like, I'll defend pump.fun to the death. It's like probably my hottest take in crypto. Like, I've even had Max Berwick on the show, who launched like helping launch a class action lawsuit against them. So we got to discuss that, but at the end of the day, I'm still very much in favor of, not necessarily in favor of it, but I'll defend it. And I think that the kind of allegations of extraction / destroying crypto are a bit overblown. Because you had some points as well that you hit back with that I thought were really, really good, just around what it means for crypto as well. Like having the most popular protocol just be degenerate gambling. It's not fantastic, but I just took like the almost morally absent opinion of being like, well, they built it and the market used it. So like you can't really pin like the blame on them specifically for
I mostly agree with you actually. There's that, I think it was a Voltaire quote where he's like, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to your death the right to say it. It's like, I may not agree with what you build on a decentralized, open, trustless blockchain, but I will defend your ability to create it. That's the whole point of a decentralized ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, it's a reflection of the state of the market. People want to gamble and treat crypto like a casino. They're going to do that one way or another, and they just filled that niche. For me, I guess like the the gray area comes in, kind of like with Tornado Cash is another similar example. But the gray area comes in when people were like live streaming and doing like illegal things, and they were like still having that running on their website for, multiple days, maybe it was like a week or two, just all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's like, that's like when they're promoting illegal stuff, like it's interesting because we talk about decentralized blockchains and permissionlessness and stuff like that, but then we're all humans living in countries that have laws. And so like there is that some level of accountability that is necessary. And it's just about where is that line?
That's kind of what I want to get like stuck into, like where that line is for products creating things. Because I feel like I have a very strong, like with politics, like, I'm Australian. I feel like I have a much stronger communitarian impulse than like someone from America would, where I'm like, I'm happy to pay, higher taxes because we have Medicare, and it's nice to benefit from those. Yeah, great roads. It's nice to benefit from those things as well. And I just think it's an important kind of part of the social contract to have those kind of minimum standards that you expect from things. But yeah, my main gripe with the pump.fun was just people kind of just clown carring the thing of like, oh, it's the most extractive, horrible thing to have ever happened. And it's like, well, they're a protocol. They built it. Users came. They're entitled to do whatever they want with the money as well. Like seeing people get really upset about like, they could have reinvested it. It's like, well, what about all the fucking high FDV tokens that take billions of dollars out of the market and just give it to VCs? It's like, well, it's the same. You would have to have the same line of argument with whatever bullshit kind of Silicon Valley blockchain comes out that no one ever uses, but for some reason 10 guys make 50 mil each and then fuck off and never come back again. And then they start a newsletter about drop shipping and you're like, fuck, great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be, you can say it's extractive, but also like not think that the founders or the protocol has like done anything wrong, which is kind of what I think of it as. Like, I don't think it's been good for the industry at large, but I also don't think they did anything wrong by launching it or what they did with the money. Like that's fair game, totally. That's just free market, fair game, etc. And again, it's just a reflection of what people want to be doing on chain, which just seems to be gambling to try and make more money, which is it is what it is. But it's probably the biggest issue I've seen, and it's not a direct consequence of pump.fun, but it's just sort of like the last 5 years really of crypto, is a lot of developers now are getting sick and fed up, and they're leaving to go develop in the AI space or just not blockchain related activity because they're not getting money or funds or grants or users or attention because everyone just wants to gamble. And so it's like that. I think there is some sort of issue there. I don't know if it's something that anyone in particular can or should solve, or just hope that it resolves over time as people build better apps and eventually it just gets better and people use crypto for stablecoin transfers and just DeFi and better things. But I've definitely been seeing a lot of devs just like literally leaving crypto or like stopping deving, which is very harmful for the future of the industry.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll agree with you there. Like it is one of those things where it's a big indictment on human nature and what people are coming to crypto for. Because like that's the most successful product. It's like that's what people see. Like, oh, crypto, I'm going to make $1 million X, and that's it. There's no cypherpunk ideals anymore, and it makes a lot of sense that a lot of devs would see that happening. They're not getting the funding that they used to, and they're just watching the entire industry become, a shitcoin speculation machine and go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go do something else. So yeah, it holds a very ugly mirror up to
but this is
what
why I'm
so
bullish on stablecoins, because it's like it's so mundane and boring and unexciting and unsexy, but it's like it's an actual use case of crypto that is orders of magnitude better than the traditional system, sending money to someone on the other side of the world like with under a second for under a cent. Like that is just way better than traditional models. And like you have a conversation with, you just like bump into someone who talks to you about crypto and they don't know much, and they ask you like, what is crypto? What can you actually do with crypto? That's always their question. It's like, yeah, but you can't do anything with it. What is it? Like, what is a practical use case? And if you explain to them stable coins, then all of a sudden that, in my experience, is a lot of people go like, oh, that actually is pretty cool. And maybe then you can talk about DeFi and how that's even more cool in many ways. But crypto is great. It's just people don't necessarily know it that much yet.
Yeah. No, there's a DGen Spartan tweet that I always go back to of like, I've forgotten the exact wording of it, but it's just like when people ask me what crypto's for, it's like I have 24 words that give me an off-world bank account. And I'm like, that's fucking sick. Because it is. Good. It's true. It's like you have this like slap of money that you can then deploy anywhere internationally at any point in time. That's really you can take cool, with you. It's all yours. And you don't ever have to worry about, I mean, depending on the asset that you store it in, assuming no chronic depegs, there's always a fucking trust risk somewhere of like, you just have to pray that USDT doesn't depeg, but if it does, everyone's fucked anyway. So
exactly,
it's not just you. Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, people like depending on what country you're in, people worry about their own local currencies as well, like Argentina, Zimbabwe. I mean, with America and
everywhere
Trump
in South America.
Now, right now everything is going crazy, and so like Bitcoin or stablecoins are in many ways safer than the national currencies of many countries in the world. And that's only if like the currency depegs or like national currencies inflate or deflate. Then you have like, if you have a government that is authoritarian or malicious and they just start freezing bank accounts or seizing private citizens' funds, if you're in Russia or somewhere and you're trying to get your money out, then it has not been easy for the last few years because of obvious reasons. And crypto just solves all of those issues. As you said, it presents some other issues and risks, but I think that they're less than traditional systems in a lot of instances.
Definitely. Well, I mean, that's what Tron's, like, basically TVL comes from, is from people in South America and in Africa having stable coins because their local currencies are so cooked that they're like, well, I will just hold T-bills on chain. And that's, I think, one of the most underappreciated things, because there's a very long history of crypto being like banking the unbanked. And I don't think we're at like the banking the unbanked point, but in the sense of you can hold it somewhere that's like sovereign and not going to go down the toilet if your country does, and you can get out with it and it's going to be stable. That's just such a huge, that's just like a huge second order effect of the tech that just goes completely over the heads of everyone in countries like here, where I mean, maybe the AUD. I might be speaking too soon for the Pacific peso, but it's doing better now that the RBA's doing expected to do emergency rate cuts. They're like, oh fuck, we gotta save ourselves. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it looked like a meme coin chart there for a few days last week or this week. Yeah,
legit. On Wednesday, it just like shot up to $1.70, like USD AUD. I was like, boy, that's not great. But yeah, man, dude, what are you working on / building at the moment? I was literally chatting with a friend earlier, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck, what is Zeneca up to?" And I was like, "That's a really good question. I'm gonna ask him that." Yeah.
I mostly writing. So I got my newsletter. I'm posting twice a week, and I'm working on a book that will hopefully come out in the next few months. Hope to have the first draft done within the next week.
A book? Fuck yeah, dude. You launching it on chain or publishing it physically? What's the go?
It's be self-published just through Amazon, but you can get Kindle or ebook type thing. Mm-hmm. Just see how it goes and take it from there. And then on the side, I'm doing like some advising for a few companies, and like I said, not much trading, but a bit of airdrop farming. But really, writing is my main focus at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Can you share any details about the book launch, or what's the go there?
Yeah, I mean it's nothing fancy. It's just like a collection of like lessons that I've learned, like my tweet about round tripping and stuff like that, but like way more things that I've learned 7 years in crypto, making and losing money, as well as I was a professional poker player before crypto, so like 15 years of that, and a lot of those lessons applied to crypto, bankroll management, risk management, that kind of stuff. And so just a collection of things that I think will help anyone trying to like trade or invest in crypto, and putting it into a book and put it out there and see if people like it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I did see that tweet from Geordie from Steady Lads a while ago, talking about how all of the best crypto investors are poker players. And it was essentially like the correlation between the two of like the number. I think even Taiki was like did shitloads of poker in college. What do you see as like the main kind of skills that cross over from being a poker player and then crypto? Because it's not necessarily the same in TradFi. Like you do have some pretty high stakes poker dudes going over to TradFi, but it doesn't have that same like characteristic resemblance or correlation that it does with crypto.
There was there've been a few people that have moved from crypto to TradFi, but I think because working in TradFi, historically it's a little harder to get into, whereas crypto is like anyone can literally just start. I think it has to do with a few things. One is just like the mentality of thinking in terms of like expected value and probabilities. And so like in poker, every single hand, you're constantly thinking about like, what are the various potential outcomes? And then what is the best decision I can make to maximize my expected value over the long run, assuming this hand plays out thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, millions of times. In crypto, it's kind of the same. It's like, especially in trading, it's like, all right, you have infinite coins you could buy. And so you have to like constantly evaluate what is the expected value of buying this one versus this one, yada, yada, yada. Does this have like a 10% chance it's going to do a 5 or 10x, or does it have a 1% chance it'll do 100x? And just, I don't like think through those odds in real time or like actually put numbers down, but it's like that mentality of thinking about things in terms of bets and probabilities, I think is a big part of it. And then I think it's like the psychological element as well, where, I mean, there aren't many jobs in the world where you can work full time and work for a month and lose money. Poker is one of them. Trading is another one. So I think that helps. And if you've played poker for a long time, you get very used to the variance, the swings, the emotions, the highs and the lows. And especially if you're like a successful poker player for many, many years, you just have to figure out a way to be okay with all of that. And I think in crypto, if you don't have that background and you're coming in from like a traditional job or work, it's a lot more difficult when you buy something and you lose all your money on it and you just get rogged. Or even the reverse, where you get really lucky and make a bunch of money. In poker, you're sort of like, you're able to like temper your emotions and like not get too euphoric and just put it all into the next big thing, or get too destitute when you've lost everything. Whereas, just that psychology, I think, is really, really helpful. Yeah, and like managing your bankroll is another big part of it all. There's so many, actually. That, like, the more that I think about it and talk to other poker players and crypto, it's just like, that from poker helped me, that from poker helped me, that from poker helped me.
I think, the psychological side, because I'm like, I'm fucking useless at poker. Like, it's actually phenomenal how, like, I've never really played it, but like the times that I have, I've just shown up to the table and been like, delete money. Like, instincts there are all wrong. I think I prefer having a chart attached to it that I'm like, okay, cool. There's slightly more control over the outcome, but I think my internal like probability meter is just absolutely cooked. But yeah, even just as like a pleb looking in from the outside, I think having that mindset of being able to smooth the emotions on losses and wins just does not come nat. Like, it's something that has to be learned. Like, that's a skill in and of itself. Like, you can't just, show up as a day one person and be like, oh, cool, I just made a fuckload of money. Now I'm going to get not really excited and instinctively keep gambling. Like,
You have to humans are not designed like that. If you feel like that, something's genuinely wrong with the way that your like dopamine receptors work or something. Another one I just thought of is like patience. And like the very first thing you learn when you're playing poker is to play less hands, fold more, and be patient and wait for good hands. And I think that applies very well to crypto and trading in general, where it's like, don't ape every random thing, just be patient and pick your spots well. Yeah,
okay. That's huge. The over trading thing just kills. It definitely got me pretty well.
Me too. Like I said,
you just feel like you have to fucking ape everything, but in reality,
FOMO is real.
The guys that I speak with that kill it literally take probably like a trade every 4-6 months. And they just wait, and then they literally just deploy, make 7 figures, and go, all right, fuck it, I'll buy a house and hang out and do nothing, and then they're like, oh yeah, this one. Like, they're terminally online, but they do nothing up until the moment that they're like, now.
Yep.
I want to round out the app with this one. It's kind of a shitty question, but it's always fun just to get like the read on it. What are you most bullish on and most bearish on for the rest of the year?
I'm going to stick to stablecoins. I think that is just incredibly bullish on many, many levels. I actually wrote about that like 2 weeks ago in my newsletter, so it's very fresh front of mind for me. But you have US passing stablecoin regulation. You have there was this this report by Coinbase and I think EY or someone else, where they like polled 350 institutional investors on a whole bunch of things, and one of the learnings was 84% of them said that they are either already using or plan to be using stablecoins. 84%, which is a ridiculous amount. And I think like 51 or 41% said that they plan to deploy 5% or more of their assets into crypto in general, which is also really bullish to me. But yeah, stablecoins, the TVL just keeps going up. You know, imagine when we get $1 trillion to $3 trillion of stablecoins in circulation. It's like the global impact that will have, the impact on the crypto markets. It's all very bullish to me, and it's just a practical use case that is better than existing systems. So yeah, that's what I'm most bullish on. And then least bullish on for the rest of the year, I mean, World War III. It's like, whether it's actual World War III or World Trade War III, like if US and China just keep escalating against each other, if after these 90 days, the tariff pauses, we just get new tariffs that just stick around for a while. Just global geopolitics could just really throw us into a dark era for legitimately a very long time. Couple that with like AI improvements, and so many companies are either laying off or just like not hiring new people. I saw this, like, I think a company memo from, I'm trying to think of the company, can't think of it, but like a pretty big company where the CEO is like super bullish on AI and was like, before you come to any manager asking about hiring a new personnel, you have to be able to prove why you can't use AI to do that already, which is it's sensible when you think about it. Like, as a business, like, it is a tool, why don't you use it? But that to me is like, I still think will lead to a period of like pretty high unemployment and just turmoil as the world adopts to this new AI world order, and as people figure out what they want to do, and as new jobs and just new careers are created. I don't know when that's going to happen, if it's this year or like 3, 4, 5 years from now, but I don't know. Yeah, so those are like the bear case scenarios for me when that happens, if that happens, and geopolitics. But I'm still, despite all of that, I'm still overall bullish, and I think that we hit new all-time highs later this year or early next year. I'm like 70-80% is what I would say is the likelihood of that.
Yeah.
No guarantee,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So bullish stables, bearish the world.
Kind of, yeah. Bullish Bitcoin as well.
True.
Especially with all this currency turmoil and stuff like that, I think people are waking up a little bit more and being like, you know what, Bitcoin actually is a reasonable store of value against all of this, which is what it's kind of designed for.
I saw some really good Bitcoin hopium today, actually, from Galois Capital. That was like, you know, if China's been dumping US treasuries, you know, where are they sinking the proceeds? And then he was just like, Bitcoin. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
maybe.
Hey, listen, I'll take the hopium. Let's go. But yeah, no, the AI stuff, it's funny because I'm kind of an AI doomer. My just personal opinion is that like a lot of the AI stuff is overblown, but then it is also the case that there are lots of kind of like intermediary, almost like, and I don't mean this like disparagingly, but I mean like bullshit jobs of like those kind of like middle managey, you don't do much, it's mostly scheduling and, you know, just kind of general menial tasks that are very repetitive and easy to replicate for a even slightly intelligent machine. And yeah, if you're a business owner and you think, why would I pay someone 60, 70K a year when a $20 a month GPT-3, like GPT-4 subscription could do the trick? Yeah, it does. That side doesn't look good.
Yeah. And it's even like, it's now seeping into the creative industries. I think for a long time it's been like, yes, eventually it'll be like that, but it's like, it's still not really good enough. But with the new ChatGPT image generation for like creating logos, YouTube thumbnails, Twitter banners, it's really good. And so like, where a lot of people may previously have hired a graphic designer, probably don't need to now and don't want to and can do it without that. And so yes, like big companies will obviously still pay for graphic designers and a lot of people still will, but I think a lot of people won't. And that's just one area where that's going to chip away.
Decimate the Fiverr economy of like the just like little little banners and logos and stuff. Yeah. Damn. I think it was your tweet as well, was looking at the Tom and Jerry, whatever the studio was for Tom and Jerry, like replicating, like you can train shit on basically like Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry episodes and then say, all right, using all of that, make another one in a similar style and format. That would be interesting. Like a part of me like is a little bit sad that there's no human artistic involvement in that kind of thing, but it is also interesting of like, holy shit, we've made machines that can actually do it if it's good and it isn't just slop.
Yeah.
But
it's not there yet, but it's not far off. And I think I saw a lot of comments where people were like, "Oh, it doesn't look realistic," or I can see some like glitches or whatever. But A, it's just going to keep getting better, and B, I think people will like accept imperfect versions of their favorite TV show if it's if the graphics are a little bit not 100% perfect. If they can just consume way more of the show that they love and it's like 95% as good, I think a lot of people will be happily. I'd love to watch new episodes of Seinfeld or whatever, Breaking Bad, or remake Game of Thrones the last couple of seasons. Cool. Give me another. Yeah.
That's one area where I'm like, fuck it. The AI could probably do a better job.
Absolutely.
The last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. All right, ChatGPT, you've got a new task. Make that not shit, which was,
Yeah.
That was an indictment on human involvement.
That was brutal.
That was fucking terrible. Yeah, man. What else? I know I just asked you before, but to finish things up, what have you got on like the immediate horizon that you'd like the people to go check out?
Just go check my newsletter. Zeneca.xyz is twice a week I'm posting there. That's the biggest thing. Next week, I was telling you before, we're going on a honeymoon, so I'm going to be away for 3 and a bit weeks.
Congrats, man. Have fun.
Thank you. Checking out from the space for a bit, but we'll still be putting my newsletter out while I'm that. And then, when I come back, the book. That's mostly it.
Very nice, man. Well, dude, this has been great. Been really cool to have you on. It's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Catch you, man.